If you watch my videos, you already know what I think about Western politicians and the media. Every generation looks back at the cowards of previous generations and says, look at those cowards. How could they sit back and watch that happen? And that's what future generations will say about our leaders and reporters. But just when I think Western leaders can't possibly get any dumber, just when I think they've hit the absolute bottom, just when I think they can't possibly be any more eager to commit cultural suicide, Great Britain opens up a tall can of "we haven't even begun to show you how stupid we are" and pours it all over me. The British Home Office has posted a report maintaining that because prominent Muslim Brotherhood members in Egypt have been labeled terrorists by the Egyptian government, they may be subject to persecution by all the Egyptians who are sick to death of terrorism. Since these prominent radical Islamists may be subject to persecution in Egypt, Great Britain has decided to grant them asylum. I kid you not. The government of Great Britain has declared, if you're too radical for a Muslim country, we want you here in Great Britain. Now, the report acknowledges that the Muslim Brotherhood has called for jihad and Islamic martyrdom. We read, the Muslim Brotherhood are reported to have released a statement in January 2015 calling on followers to embrace jihad and martyrdom to fight the current regime. And the report grants that the degree of involvement in promoting jihad and martyrdom may be grounds for excluding a jihadi from Great Britain. Depending on the nature of the person's involvement, decision makers must consider whether one of the exclusion clauses is applicable. So even though the group has called for jihad and martyrdom, this isn't necessarily a problem for members, so long as the members can't be clearly tied to any specific attacks. That makes sense. Let's look at the policy summary. The Muslim Brotherhood has been designated a terrorist organization in Egypt, and members may be prosecuted under the Penal Code. And was there a reason for designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization? Could the reason be that it's actually a terrorist organization? Many senior and mid-level leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood have been arrested, face prolonged detention, while some have been handed death sentences. Thousands of members and supporters have also been arrested, particularly during demonstrations by the state security forces. Some members and supporters have been killed and injured during the same protests. And was there a reason for arresting these Muslim Brotherhood leaders? Could it be that their message and goals and tactics are detrimental to public safety and to the well-being of non-Muslim Brotherhood members? Those with a high profile in the Muslim Brotherhood or who have been politically active, particularly in demonstrations, may be able to show that they are at risk of persecution, including of being held in detention, where they may be at risk of ill treatment, trial also without due process, and disproportionate punishment. Additionally, high-profile supporters or those perceived to support the Muslim Brotherhood, such as journalists, may also be similarly at risk of persecution. In such cases, a grant of asylum will be appropriate. So, high-profile politically active members of the Muslim Brotherhood, an organization that openly calls for jihad and martyrdom, may be persecuted by a government that doesn't want jihad and martyrdom. And that's why Great Britain needs to take them in. Got it. However, although membership of the Muslim Brotherhood is prescribed, low-level, non-political, or inactive members and supporters are not generally being targeted, and it is unlikely that they will be able to demonstrate a real risk of persecution. Each case will need to be considered on its facts. Okay, lower-level Muslim Brotherhood members probably aren't going to be persecuted, so they don't need asylum. It's the prominent members, the high-ranking members, the leaders, the radicalized journalists, i.e. the ones who specialize in promoting and inciting jihad and calling for the violent subjugation of the world to Islam. Those are the ones the British Home Office wants guiding future generations of Muslims in Great Britain. Just to be clear, I'm not against countries granting asylum to people from other parts of the world. I'm just against being unfathomably stupid about it. If the neediest people your leaders can find are members of a terrorist organization that wants to violently subjugate you, you need smarter leaders. Now that the British government is doing one of the dumbest things ever done by any government, I guess all we can do is sit back and wait for British leaders to outdo themselves once again. Maybe when ISIS jihadis finally lose and give up, in spite of everything Western leaders have done to ensure their success, the British Home Office will welcome these jihadis with open arms before they get persecuted by all the groups they've been slaughtering.